Good morning, babies, and welcome to Simply Stacy, where the joy of the Lord is our strength. Well, I pray that all of you have a wonderful, wonderful day today. But what I want to talk about and what God has put in my spirit is so many people are frustrated because of unanswered prayers and things that they're praying for they ain't seen manifested. Some of you have got prophetic words for years and years and years now, and you haven't seen things come to fruition. But what I want to ask you today is, are you prepared for that prayer to be answered? God's timing ain't our timing. He says it's a time and the seasons for all things. He said his thoughts ain't our thoughts. The way we see things ain't the way he see things. One day is as 1,000 years unto God. So right now in our lifetime, we don't even live to be 1,000 years. So just think your one lifetime don't even equivalent one day for God. Think about that scripture. So even though, like now, I've been living for 52 years. That's only a fraction of a day. If you really go down and break it down, I thought about it, but I ain't really broke it down. What is that? Maybe that might even be maybe an hour out of a day, in 1,000 years. But just think about it in that perspective. Our lifespan ain't even that long. It's not even a day compared to that scripture. So, babies, you have to wait on God. Be still and be anxious for nothing. Being anxious for things gets you in trouble. Like a lot of people out here married in these bad relationships that's headed for destruction because they went out there and made it happen because they didn't want to wait on God. You need to wait on God. Another example. You want these husbands, you want these wives, but are you prepared for them? Some of you walk in unforgiveness. Some of you don't had things happen to you 20, 30, 10 years ago that you still haven't forgave that person for. But as the word says, the scripture says, forgive 70 times 70. That's just in one day. So if you can't forgive somebody for what they did 20, 30 years ago, how you going to forgive somebody 70 times 70 in a day? But you want to boo. You got to keep a forgiving heart. So, babies, ask yourself today, are you really prepared for what you're asking for? Are you prepared for it? Everything has a process, but most people, especially these days, they want to skip the process. Just think, we're born into this earth as a baby. What if we skip the process of being a baby and being a adolescence and went right on to adulthood? Can you imagine? You see how people are dysfunctional now and didn't even skip those phases. What dysfunction do you think you would see if people skipped the process of being from a child to an adult? Not just to say spiritually in your mental capacity, just think about how your physical body would be affected, jumping from one stage to the next. Everything has stages of growth. Everything has processes. Everything has a time and a season. You have to be still and be anxious for nothing. Wait on God. His ways ain't our ways and his thoughts ain't our thoughts. Be encouraged knowing that there's a time and season for all things. And I don't care what it is. It's a time for us to die. It's a time for us to live. You know, there's a time, like spring. Everything's springing forth. Everything is new and fresh. Then you got fall. You got things changing and falling and dropping and just it's just a season of just transformation from where the spring and the summer was here. Then you got winter. That's the cold season. Seems like ain't nothing happening. People don't want to move as much. Things is cold. It's just a time where you just froze in time. You're just stuck right there. You just got to be still and wait until what? Spring breaks for the newness. Some of you are in your winter season. Some of you are in your summer season. Some of you are in your fall season. You got to know what season you are in. It is not according to your age and all these different types of things. It's according to God's calendar for your life. Once you know that, once you know where you're at in the process, it will alleviate you from a lot of frustrations. And then some of the choices that you make and some of the paths that you take takes you off the path of God. So then you got to get back on the path with God so you can get back in the process. Now, they don't make you jump forth in the process. That sets you back sometimes. So then you got to go through things all over again. Because, see, you didn't learn. You didn't learn in that season. You may have been in your winter season and you didn't know it, and you didn't learn what you need to learn in that winter season. So you can't progress on to spring because you ain't finished up that winter yet. So you just be still and go through the seasons of life. Go through the seasons of the trial that you're in right now. Go through the processing that you need to go through to get that prayer answered. God heard your prayer the first time you prayed it. He knew what you needed before you needed it. That's the word. But in everything, it's a lesson. Learn the lesson. What is God trying to teach you out of what you're going through right now? What is the lesson in it? What is the lesson in it? And it's not for you to be frustrated. It's not for you to be frustrated in what you're going through right now. It's for you to rise above your circumstances. Declare your victory. Declare your victory over the enemy. God already gave you victory. So just declare the words of the Lord. Whose report you going to believe? I decided to believe the report of the Lord. And I pray that you decide to believe the report of the Lord. Because God is with you. And he'll never leave you nor forsake you. But make sure that you allow God to equip you and prepare you for your answer prayer. Because a lot of people, and I've experienced this with my own life. I've seen people pray, and I want to go back to relationships because a lot of people have relationships problems. They want relationships and all these different types of things. A lot of people pray for godly mates or good mates. But are you good? Are you godly? Have you prepared yourself for this godly mate? Because it's not going to be like getting a mate that's worldly and carnal. For example, like a lot of women. Y'all want these godly men. You can't talk to these godly men like you talk to these worldly carnal men. You shouldn't be talking to them like that. Do you know that God, stuff will happen to you? You can't mess with a godly person like you do with a worldly carnal person. You got to be prepared how to address the man of God and the woman of God. You got to know how to take care of a man of God and a woman of God. Babies, just allow God to take you through the preparation stage for your answer prayer. Some of you ain't ready for the prayer to be answered. That's why it ain't been answered. Some of you, the enemy is holding up that prayer. Because God heard it when you first prayed it. But the enemy is holding it up. So you got to do warfare. You got to do warfare in the spirit. But allow God to prepare you for your answer prayer. My heart is just going out for you today because I feel the burden of the people that have been praying prayers that ain't been answered. But believe me, your prayers already been answered. It's just a time of the season when you're going to see the physical manifestation. I love you, and so does God. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day, God. Woo! Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day, guys. Love you. Smooches, sugar woogers.